The MP4-12C is only McLaren's third road car, and visually it's not hard to see the links to the F1. It's efficient rather than pretty, the shape being finely honed in a wind tunnel. Aerodynamics is just one area where McLaren's Formula One expertise has come in handy. The other one is the rapid rate at which new technologies can be developed and tested. The software for the gearbox's precog system, for instance, went from concept to testing in less than 3 days. Unlike the F1 and SLR, which respectively used BMW and Mercedes power plants, the MP4-12C's engine is a bespoke McLaren-designed and built item, as are most of the other components, from the carbon fibre monocell to the switchgear. Another key element to the McLaren's design is the mid-engine layout. The engine itself uses dry sump lubrication, which means it sits much lower in the car to aid weight distribution. Not that there's that much weight to distribute. At under 1,300 kilograms, it weighs about the same as a Golf. The other advantage of running a Formula One team is that you have access to some of the best test drivers in the world.
The car actually handles like a real car should handle. You get to a corner and you're picking up very, very good grip, and it's got the racing car pedigree, and as it should do, it's built under the same roof as our racing car.
Well, the power, it's got great power. It's very smooth, but the gear shifts is a bit like our Formula One car, it's got the same click, and the reaction time is just great.
The race car influences continue inside. The steering wheel, for instance, was modelled on that of a Grand Prix car. It may be packed with race car technology, but fortunately the MP4-12C is a lot more comfortable inside than a Formula One car. In fact, apart from the contortions you need to perform to get into it, being inside the MP4-12C is a pretty normal experience. Considerable thought has gone into making the interior as user-friendly as possible. The touchscreen has a portrait layout, which McLaren reckons makes it easier to read, and buttons and knobs are kept to a minimum so that the driver isn't distracted from the road. There's plenty of room inside, and unusually for this sort of car, also great all-round visibility. Which brings us back to where we started, the racetrack.
So every petrolhead has been jumping for joy at the news that obviously McLaren is bringing out a next supercar. It's been around the country for a while, we're only getting our hands on it now, but there are a couple of things I do need to change because we are on a circuit. So I need to push this active button, I need to set the aero mode to track, and I need to certainly set the powertrain to track as well. And then we can discover if Ron Dennis has done something really special with us. Sounds good, doesn't it? Oh yeah. This is the bit that we love, guys. Ron Dennis at his very, very best, taking a 3.8 litre twin-turbo V8, pushing out 441 kilowatts, 600 newton meters of torque. But the bit that you're going to love the most is that literally all of it is available from like 2,000 RPM. It's got this most incredible power curve, high revving, 8,500 revs is where it goes to. It's relentless. Obviously, Zwartkops is quite a tricky little track. You don't get lots of time to really stretch its legs. But I tell you what, this thing certainly does go. It's very impressive. Steering is always so vital in these sort of cars, and I suppose that's where this McLaren is going to probably be top of the bunch, because the steering is super, super precise. You get a real sense of what the car's doing, no matter what surface you're on. Engaging in track mode, it does let the bump come out, and you can feel it. And it gives you lots of chance to play. Fantastic rear-wheel drive. Look at that. Oh man, love it. And we're obviously on the Pirelli tyres, so you get a bit of tyre noise, but the grip levels are really, really good as well. One of the gadgets from Ron Dennis's miracle work with McLaren as an F1 team, as soon as you jump on the brakes in track mode, you've got an aero kit. That rear spoiler at the back jumps up in the air and gives you some additional braking. And I think it needs it, because that's the one bit I must admit that I felt a bit nervous with, is jumping on the brakes, because it bites initially, but you really do need to keep your foot planted. I worried a few times I wasn't going to get the stop in, but a supreme car. Listen to that whine. In car sounds good, but I think people were expecting more drama from the McLaren. It's a little bit quiet. Obviously you can go put in an additional exhaust system, which we don't have in this, but I think people were hoping for a bit more scream and shout. I think this is amazing. Do we have to stop? hard on the brakes. Man, I love the turning. It is really, really precise. Feel the back coming. But it's that power. It comes on, literally, as I said, just from so low down, and it just guns it. It's insane. Have you had enough? I think Jonathan's had enough.
I have.
Jonathan, what do you think?
I'm about to throw up.
McLaren, well done, Ron Dennis. I think he's done a fantastic job. Very, very clinical, but I think that's what you would imagine with the supercar. It's been created in a laboratory, so to speak. I mean, even the name is kind of bizarre, isn't it? McLaren MP4-12C.
True to its racing pedigree, the GT3 version of the MP4-12C has been campaigned in the FIA GT1 World Championship since the middle of last year. Unfortunately, it isn't eligible to take part in Le Mans, so it won't be able to follow in the footsteps of the F1, which won outright in 1995. Even in standard guise, however, the MP4-12C should have no difficulty in keeping up at your average track day.
When they decided to genetically engineer sheep, there was no emotion involved, it was pure science. In much the same way as Ron Dennis went about creating the McLaren MP4-12C. When Ron Dennis says, categorically, he wants to develop a car that scientifically is the very, very best in its class, that is exactly what he does. And that is exactly what he's done with us. None of the facts and figures are new. Every petrolhead out there was jumping for joy when it was announced that McLaren was producing this car. You know that it's pushing out 441 kilowatts, 600 newton meters of torque, got an unbelievable power curve that starts from 2,000 all the way to 8.5. It is an unbelievable machine. What I am confused about though is that a lot of people that have driven it before us have kind of felt a little let down. They were expecting a little bit more. Maybe like a Meryl Streep scenario when you go watch a movie she acts in, you're expecting something. I, on the other hand, have got in this car expecting to be disappointed because of everything that I've read, and in fact have been totally blown away. Guys, let's be honest, he's making a performance car. So when it comes to performance, there should be no emotion involved in the process at all. In fact, it should be that form follows function, which is exactly what he's done. This McLaren is immense. The turn-in's incredible. I'm glad we've got to drive it after all the dust has settled, and I can look at what everybody else has said and I've gone, maybe you weren't driving the McLaren MP4-12C.